You know, I've been sitting here just going, why do you call me up here? My life's perfect. I never had any problems. I have a great wife, you know.
He does. You know, well, James today he's a youth director. Oh, there you go. There's his family.
Perfect life, man.
Perfect life.
Never had a problem, ever.
He's today the youth director at Grace Bible Honolulu, our sister church, and God's doing amazing. You're expecting a baby, not you. Your wife is expecting a baby.
Almost.
That'd be a whole nother problem. Let's talk about that. Now, your wife is expecting a baby in the next few weeks. So God is doing amazing things in your life, but it wasn't always that way.
Right, it wasn't.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, you know, I was born into a pastor's family, and I had a great life. I loved God at a young age because I grew up learning about Him, thought He was awesome, and then I had some things happen to me where, you know, I'm just going to share. I'm going to be real candid with you guys because I believe this: if people would have shared these things with me when I was younger, then maybe I wouldn't have had to go through all the trouble I had to go through in my life. And so that's why I'm going to be really candid and open with what had happened to me. Because I want to see you guys get the same freedom that I have. Because 1 in every 4 boy gets molested, 1 in every 3 girls get molested. And so I'm going to just straight up share with you guys. So, yeah.
Brutally honest.
Be brutally honest. I can't be brutally honest because you guys would be all like running on here. So
they're already scarred by the cheese comments.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. But, you know, at about the age of 4, I think I was molested by a man. And we moved back to Hawaii when I was 5. And then we stayed with somebody, and their son began to molest me. I was 5, he was about 18. He started to molest me. It happened repeatedly because my family trusted him, and so he watched me all the time. Different things would happen. And for about 3 years, the guy was molesting me. And my parents actually at one point in time let him live in our house. You know, I was like, what the heck? You guys are letting this guy who's doing these things to me. And you know, one time I was in my bathroom and he was doing things to me in the bathroom. And my mom knocked on the door and she's like, hey, is everything all right in there? Everything in me wanted to scream, help! But I couldn't. I had so much pain inside. I had so much anger and shame. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know what was going on in there. It was like so much emotion, but I just was quiet and said, oh, everything's fine. And just let it go on past. And from that day, I shoved everything down. I forgot that it even happened to me until I was about 12. And then I started waking up every night. And I was crying. And I'm like, what am I, some kind of wuss or something? Just crying. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know what's going on. And then it happened for almost, I don't know, I'd say maybe about a year. And then one time, like a flood, everything came back to me. I remembered every single detail of all the different times that these 2 different men had molested me. And it just brought up all this anger and shame and from that point, I just decided, you know what? I think I got to find some kind of way to cope with this. And so I started turning to drugs and alcohol. And because I didn't tell anybody, and I started coming to my own conclusions of the outcome, my way to cope with it is that, you know what, both these men were in church. So you know what, the people of God, screw them. And then I came to the conclusion, my parents let this guy live in our house, so I can't trust them, so screw them. And then I came to the conclusion that God let this happen to me, so you know what, God, you can't be trusted either, so screw you. And so I just went down this road where I was just, nuts. My grades just went from that. As soon as I realized, my grades went down. Basically didn't care about anything. Started doing whatever I could get my hands on. And by the time I was 15, I was a nice addict. Went to this rehab a little bit, just fast forward a little bit. I was selling drugs at 15. My dad's a pastor now of a church. I'm selling drugs at 15. And running away from home, stealing, robbing, doing all kind of crazy stuff. And I get thrown in a rehab. The rehab tells me to talk about it, so I am finally able to talk about it without crying. And I think that I'm able to cope with it because I said, hey, I'm talking about it without crying anymore. And so I'm fine. And so I just kind of like try and live my life, I actually at that point I turned to God for a little while during that rehab experience. And then I didn't realize that there was bitterness attached to that because I dreamed every day of shooting these people in the face. It was I would dream, I would actually shoot them in the face, and I would laugh after. And I would see them on the ground, dead, with their head blown out the back, and I would smile and laugh. And this is how I lived my life. So I thought, because I talked about it, I'd received healing. And because I didn't cry anymore, but I really didn't. There was bitterness attached, unforgiveness, and all this stuff attached to me.
And just hearing your story, I don't want you to just think about, the statistic of 1 out of 4 boys and 1 out of 3 girls being molested is so true. I mean, I've been in ministry now for 15 years, and the story is not atypical. In fact, I was just talking to a guy on Friday who went through a very similar thing as you. But whatever it is that we go through, whatever things it is we face, if we don't get healing from it, we do things to cope. And your coping mechanism was turning to drugs, other things you also talked about, girls and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So, I started, because I didn't cope well, the devil started messing with my head. So I started wondering, am I gay? Is all this stuff, and the devil started messing with my head big time. And I couldn't even figure out, what is the matter with me? And then, the first time I had sex with a girl, I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I actually cried because I was so excited. I'm not gay. It's so ridiculous, but really, all these emotions, because when you don't talk about something, if you're not in a small group talking with people or in community with other people, you're gonna basically, the devil's gonna run ragged in your head. And you're gonna get screwed up and go down the wrong conclusions, how I did. And you'll cope with things the wrong way.
Now, let's fast forward. We know today what God is doing in James's life. Amazing testimony. He works with youth. You're making a difference in hundreds of kids' lives. And you see how the enemy would want to circumvent and stop what God would want to do early on in his life. Get him into drugs, get him in the wrong path to wreck a future that God has for you. So what happened? So you were into drugs, went to rehab.
Somehow did well for a little while, and then the next thing you know, because of that bitterness that was still in my life, the devil just had a chain that would just yank me right back into what I was doing. Started drinking, started selling, started just picking up drugs for my friends because I knew the people. Then all of a sudden they're like, here, why don't you just take this? And and then the next thing I know, I lose my job, and the way I cope with losing my job is sell more drugs. And the next thing, I remember telling God, I'll serve you after I become a successful drug dealer. What the heck kind of stupid thing is that, What an idiot. But anyway, I started selling drugs. I can tell you stories, but I'm not going to go there. But, basically I turned into a womanizer, a sex addict, a porn addict, a drug addict, an alcoholic. I would wake up in the morning and I would smoke ice until I went to sleep every night. I would smoke enough ice to keep someone up for a week, but I would sleep every single night. I would drink alcohol from when I woke up in the morning to when I went to sleep at night, and I just wanted to stay numb. That was my way of coping. I didn't even want to deal with just the feelings inside that I had so much just craziness in my heart, the unforgiveness, the shame, all the anger and bitterness. And one day I remember this guy was starting to look for me, and he was one of my dad's friends. I don't know if you guys maybe know who Jim LaFoon is. He was sort of like Jim LaFoon. He's a prophet. He was looking for me, and I was trying to duck and dive, and I was trying to get away from talking to him. But he found me, and he said, and I finally just said, okay, I'll go meet with him. And he told me, James, God says it's not too late to change your life. And that started this whole process in my head. It's not too late to change my life. That God still has a plan and purpose for my life. And I was just like, what? I thought it was too late. I'd given up hope. My life was I just had given into the fact that I'm going to be this way. I'm always going to be this way. And I remember about a week when I started playing this over my head, it's not too late. And then I stared at the sky one day and I said 10 magic words. I said, God, I want to change, but I don't know how. And God has a funny way of doing things, but I'm going to do a drug deal. How many of you guys like Cocoa Puffs? You guys like Cocoa Puffs? You guys ever eat Cocoa Puffs? You like Lily Hot Bakery? So I'm doing a drug deal at Lily Hot Bakery, and
wait, it's in the Cocoa Puffs?
No, it's not in the Cocoa Puffs. But I used to love them until that day. Anyway, so I'm doing this drug deal, and then all of a sudden these cars come from every single different direction. I'm ripping the corners super fast. Huge guys jump out of cars with guns drawn. I dive for the ground because I don't want to get slammed by these big, huge soles and big Hawaiian guys. And I was just like, oh crap. I dove for the ground. And you know what? I got arrested that night, and I got in jail cell, and I was like, dang it, God, I didn't want to change like this. But, he has his own way of making us change. And at that moment, I got on my knees, and I said, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. My way doesn't work, and I want to do whatever you want to do. And from that day, right at the moment, actually, I was 14 years, an ice addict for 14 years, and I was ice addict for alcohol. I mean, as an alcohol,
14 years.
14 years, yeah, you got it. At that moment, God instantly delivered me from the drugs, from the alcohol, no withdrawals, nothing. God just took it away from me right in that moment, as soon as I surrendered to Him. And, from that day, I just started, my parents bailed me out. We started having like small group in my house. I mean, we started my mind was so warped, that they started, I had to get the Word of God in me, because I was like, I just was providing a people a service. What's the big deal? And then my mom's like, you could be selling drugs you're selling. You're not selling to kids, but what if the people you're selling to are selling to kids? And so I kind of was like, whoa. And then, just the Word of God had to transform my mind, because I was super messed up. And anyway, went to prison, had to spend, oh wait, sorry, let me rewind real quick. In the middle of that time when I was out on bail, we had like a transformation weekend. And at that point, I learned how to forgive. I learned what it is to forgive, and forgiveness is a choice. And I learned that I need to forgive these people, because my life had gone down this downward spiral because I held on to unforgiveness. These people are going on with their life; they're fine. There's nothing going on. But my life is just retarded, going on because I didn't forgive. And that night I chose to forgive. And you know what? It felt like a 1,000-pound weight came off my shoulders. You know what? I went into prison. I went walking in there, smile on my face. Everybody's like, what the hell's the matter with this guy? And I'm smiling. Excuse me for saying hell. I don't know. It's a real place. Anyway, but I'm walking, and I have a smile on my face. You know why? Because it was the freest that I've ever been in my life. I'm walking in prison free. I've never been free like that in my life. And you know what? I owe it all to God. I was free walking in there. I mean, it's amazing. Yep. And got out. Met my beautiful wife over here. Why don't you stand up and wave to everybody? She'll never do it. I worked for River of Life. I mean, I got out. I worked actually for one of the people at the church doing roofing and painting. Two things I said I never wanted to do. God made me do it. I don't know.
It's part of the healing.
Yeah, part of the healing. And then, I started working at River of Life, and right now I just devote my life to helping people cope the right way. It's not that my life is problem-free. I have tons of problems. I have things that are super hard that come up against me that I feel like I don't know what to do. But I know who I can trust, and I know who I can talk to, and I have people around me that can help me. It's my small group. I have people that help me, people that I'm accountable to, people that, my wife, sheesh, there's plenty. But no, I know how to cope now, and I trust God. I don't cope the wrong way. I mean, sometimes I do, I mess up, but we all do. And
that's awesome. I mean, I love what you said, that you were in prison, but you were freer than you've ever been.
Right.
And there are just a lot of people. I was one of them, free, but in prison on the inside because of the pain and the hurt. And I wasn't molested, thank the Lord, but I had other things going on. And maybe you're here today, and maybe that's your story, but maybe it's not. But whatever that storm was that came at you, that the enemy sent to shipwreck your life, man, if you don't get it out and let the Lord heal it, you're going to be in prison to it. The bitterness, the unforgiveness, like James said. But the Lord doesn't want you to live that way. He wants to heal us. And James and I are testimonies of healing, and many of you as well. And I don't want any one of us to live our lives in prison, because it will shipwreck the destiny that God has for you. James, any final thoughts for us today?
Trust God. He really is worth it. In everything. He's so awesome. I mean, really, I can never imagine my life being how it is now. I thought I had everything that I wanted when I was selling drugs. Whatever I thought, my hopes were like down here. My dreams were down here. But with God, your dreams can be up here, and He'll help you fulfill them, because He has a bigger plan for your life. And it's like, if you feel like it's too late, if you feel like you're imprisoned, you know what? That's why you have people around here, transformations. That's why you have small groups. That's why you get in a small group. If you're not, you know what? Open up, be transparent. Let God come in and heal you.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up for James. Thank you, James.